Hello and welcome into the first episode of Good Evening Crypto, where we bring you the most relevant and impactful crypto-related topics from me and your boy, Johnny Krypto. And today, we've got an exciting episode prepared because what are we talking about? The greatest collapse in the history of crypto and how our community knew exactly how to act during these uncertain times, guys. But I just wanted to give a huge shout out and thank you. We are in the first live stream. Going forward, I'm going to start it with the videos, but I wanted to make a special announcement and just give a huge thank you to anybody who's following this channel, anybody who's following along on our journey. We're going to get a 5:30 p.m. update for you guys later on in the day, but going forward, I didn't want to leave our listeners hanging. So many people sent me positive messages over the weekend asking to keep the 11 a.m. lives going. That's what I'm going to be doing for the foreseeable future, guys. We're going to be here in the morning, and you're going to get your nightly updates on this channel. So I want to give a huge shout out and thank you. But again, what are we talking about today? The greatest collapse in crypto history that occurred over this weekend. Now, anybody who witnessed this collapse, congratulations. Hopefully, you didn't fall for the uncertainty. You didn't fall for the fear, because once again, it was an absolute fake out from the largest players in this market. Couple of notes, and we're going to take you guys through all of these developments later on in today's episode. Having analyzed what happened during this market crash, this is the first AI responsible crypto crash that has ever occurred in the history of crypto. So we're going to highlight that later on today. A new AI trading mechanism which siphons the headlines and decides what to do with your crypto portfolio. They got the tariff news and they acted too quickly. So we're going to show our listeners that. That's why I'm calling this the greatest fake dump in crypto history. We're also going to show our listeners how spot trading was not impacted nearly as much as the futures trading in this market. We had the CME going live with Solana and XRP options trading today. Plenty of bullish, positive momentum in the space. And Bailey out there maxing out the heart emojis. Massive thank you to you. We already got 750 live listeners here, guys. If you're excited, you enjoy this content, show us some love, smash that like button, and make sure you're subscribed with your notifications on so you know when we're going live, and we're going to give you these great updates. But let's start right here, Johnny. With the greatest collapse happening over the weekend, what should our listeners do? Sometimes the best thing to do is absolutely nothing.
Don't fuck this up. Buy and hold. Don't use leverage. Use cold storage. Do the right thing. Don't get too speculative. Don't FOMO. Just don't fuck this up. This is the biggest opportunity we've ever been given. I've said that all the way from 2020 onwards. And in fact, I said it all the way back in 2012. It's the biggest macro trade of all time. Don't fuck this up. And if you're not a crypto person, technology is one of the biggest opportunities we've ever been given, the exponential age. Again, don't fuck this up. Just be careful. Just buy, hold, have a long-term time horizon, and learn how to take pain. And when there is pain, you buy more. Unless something changes the thesis that suddenly we're all going to turn to Neanderthals and nobody's going to use technology ever again, it is going up. It's as simple as that. And unless something changes that we're not breaking the financial system and that the internet has disappeared, we will go to blockchain technology. It's as simple as that. That's all you need to know. Everything else is just fucking noise.
Well, guys, here's the reality. And Johnny, I'm going to kick it straight to you, is that this works in both directions. What did we see over the weekend? The collapse that we've been waiting for the XRP market multiplier, but it was working in the opposite direction. A small amount of liquidity can rapidly change the way these order books operate. And that's because there's only a few exchanges globally that are responsible for actually allocating the majority of spot trades that take place. It's Coinbase, it's Binance, it's Bitrue, and there's a couple other derivatives exchanges that do a lot of volume. But what we're going to break down today is we saw $19 billion worth of leverage traders get liquidated during this Saturday collapse. And there's a strong correlation between what we've seen in prior bull markets and what we're set to witness here in 2025, guys. So just a quick reminder, we're already past 1,000 live listeners. Massive thank you and massive shout out to the greatest community in all of crypto. If you're enjoying this content, smash that like button. We're going to provide the realism. We're going to provide the optimism. And someone said, say what? Is this really live? Shout out to Andy Robertson. We are absolutely live. But Johnny Krypto, floor is yours. What was your reaction to the collapse? And are you excited for today's episode?
Of course. And first of all, good morning to all the crypto maniacs out there. We love and appreciate you guys for showing up every single day. That's what you do. And it's great. Abs, to me, Raul Paul said it best. I absolutely love him. And I learned my lesson in 2021. I don't play with leverage. Yes, on Friday, what that was called, folks, is a leverage wipeout. That means, remember, the elites can see all the order books and everything, and they know when the world is over leveraged, Abs. And so what they do is when people are borrowing money they shouldn't, there's a price to pay, and the elites make you pay. So that's what that was. And I could not agree more. For me, Abs, I wasn't on leverage. Like, it didn't affect me. Yeah, my account went down, of course. You know what I did? I had a profit plan earlier. I took those profits. I sunk them into that buying opportunity on Friday, buying over the weekend. And the reality is, as Raul Paul said, you want to be buying the pain. And that's what it was this weekend. It was an opportunity to buy some pain. They wiped it all. Now they've reset the floor. Now they're ready to let this thing fly. And unfortunately, a lot of people got wiped out. I think two things happened, Abs. I think anybody who was over leveraged got wiped out. You're gone. You took a big loss. And then I think there were maybe newbies and people who are into space, maybe those who are frustrated when they saw it, they probably bailed too, Abs. They probably jumped out. But like Rob Paul said, guys, I'm going to repeat. Be patient. Stay strong. Hold on. Because now I think that the floor has been wiped. Oh, baby, do I think we're headed up, big time up. And you'll remember, Raul Paul actually even talked about this, right? He said there will be a wipeout. There will be a 35% or so wipeout that will take everybody out. And you'll think it's over, he said, but it won't be. And that just kept going over and over my mind. This could be one of those days. This could be one of those mid wipeouts, resets, before we start going into banana zone number 2, and then eventually banana zone number 3.
Well, Johnny, we're going to start breaking down the largest hourly bearish candle in the history of XRP. And that occurred this Saturday, guys. But here's some of the data that actually led to that collapse for the XRP community. The final recording for XRP long liquidations on Saturday's collapse, Johnny, $610 million. And what did this do to the XRP price chart? I'm going to highlight that for our listeners right now, because once again, this is not as bearish as a lot of people think. And when you look at the chart analysts out there, we came down and back tested a key range. Now, I'm going to share the optimism, then I'm going to go with a little dose of reality, right? The optimistic thing here, Johnny Krypto, is that even during the greatest collapse that we've ever witnessed for crypto, and specifically for the XRP community, we still held $1.17 on even the lowest of the low for the majority of these exchanges. And we went out of our way on Saturday to record a video and give our listeners an update, because we had this great prediction. And what was that prediction? The bottom was in for these altcoins. Projects like Sui, our community, we know XRP, we're focused on XRP. And someone said, Alex Cobb went live Thursday afternoon. See, I knew something was wrong with the universe, but I could sense it, but I didn't know exactly what it was, guys. Shout out to Alex Cobb, of course. But Johnny, you know what the big thing for me was that all of this selling pressure came in. We had the futures being destroyed. We had AI selling off major positions and then buying back in even before the weekend was over. Well, what's the reality here? We witnessed the collapse that was necessary to liquidate every retail trader, every retail investor that had a 2x, that had a 3x, that had a 5x open in the market. Chances are they were liquidated. And there's thousands of those stories out there. And it's one of the reasons that we always talk about. Do not trade with leverage. Buy these products, DCA, put it on cold storage, and sit on your hands. And I go back to the quote constantly, Johnny, the best form of action is often inaction, right? Sometimes the way to avoid these mistakes is by simply doing nothing. And for anybody who didn't make a mistake over the weekend and sell into that FUD, you watched all these prices rebound at a dramatic rate. Now, what I was getting at here was for the XRP community, yeah, it was horrific. I watched the price chart live. I was on the phone with my brother, and we were talking about, oh my gosh, it just went to 240, 220, 190, 160, 151. I finally screenshotted it. I put it on Twitter. I go, is this real life? Within the next 20 minutes, we had already rebounded back above $2. Now, why is that important? Look at some of these other altcoins, Johnny, because it wasn't just about XRP. Project like Sui, down 80%. Project like Atom, down 99%. I'm going to show our listeners the actual rates and data that I have pulled up in the background. But the point was, and here it is, I'll just give you guys a quick rundown. Look at this. Sui went from 3.40 to 56 cents. Chainlink went from $22 to $8. Cardano went from 80 cents to 30 cents. We're talking about top 100 projects, blue chip projects involved in the most important narratives here, collapsing. And so what does that mean to the retail investor? Well, it also means this market works in the other direction. When new money comes into this market and these order books are hit with billions of dollars all at once, you're going to see that same multiplier effect work to our advantage. And I think Zach Rector did some analytics over the weekend where there was about a 1200x when it came to money that was pulled out of the market versus what happened to the XRP price chart. Well, what does that mean for the XRP community, guys? When money comes into this market, the multiplier will also be in effect. And this is great news for the people who are anticipating we get a 10, 20, 50, $100 XRP. Now, everybody who watches this channel knows I fall in the 8 to 10 camp. But at the end of the day, if we're going to reach some of these dramatically higher price targets, it's going to take something like we witnessed yesterday, just working in the opposite direction. Not working against the retail investor, but working for the retail investor. And this is why I'm constantly talking about the narrative of creating a profit plan and taking advantage of the product that we offer today. Click on the link below, sign up for Merlin, 30 days completely free. Now, why is this an advantage for our community? You're going to know exactly where to take profit. And as long as we're not in those ranges, there's nothing to think about. There's no emotional roller coaster. There's no uncertainty. And most importantly, you have realistic expectations for what can occur. There's a lot of people out there, Johnny Krypto, who have been saying for a really long time, XRP will never go below $2 again. That was a real narrative and it had validity. Well, we watched with the glitch in the order books that we saw over the weekend. Not only did it fall below $2, it fell below $1.50. So I'm going to take the opposite end of that once again. I'm an optimist. I like to be optimistic yet realistic. If people are saying $5, $10, $12, we could see $20, $30 based on the same momentum that we saw over the weekend, but working in favor of many of these price charts. And that's why it's more important than ever. What are some of your thoughts? Obviously, you always draw the correlation between 1999, the Telecom Act, 97, what we witnessed there. Well, what's so great about where we are here in 2025 is that we're still before all those great catalysts. So when you see something like yesterday, and I'm calling it yesterday is really 48 hours ago for anybody who's kind of focused on that. It was 48 hours ago that this all happened. But the truth of the matter is that when you witness something like what we saw yesterday, it didn't change a single thing about the market fundamentally.
Correct.
Floor is yours.
You just nailed it perfectly, Abs. And you know what? Actually, I'm going to give a shout out to our chat because they're the best in the world. AM Daylight actually read my mind. The key, what I was doing when you were texting me and everybody was going nuts, sit on your emotions. Control your emotions. And the reason why I was easily able to do that and the rest you can't, because we know what we're in. We see the long-term picture, right? And so another shout out to another one. Yes, I'm down thousands, Abs. There's no doubt I'm down thousands. We all are, right? But the key is it's easy to sit there and not be worried when I know what I own. And I understand. And you got the dates wrong. It wasn't 97, 99, it was 96. 96, the Telecom Act came out. 97, 98, 99 was 3 years of a massive bull run of new technology, which we're now using today called the internet. But what we're using today and taking for granted was something that was unknown in 97, 98, and 99. Nobody knew this was going to be happening. No one knew that I could talk to you live from thousands of miles away and we'd be on. Nobody knew what this was going to look like. But thousands, millions, hundreds of billions of dollars poured into that. Well, I feel and know that that same thing is coming now and in the future in this technology. So you got to ask yourself, and this is, guys, this is mental. I'm talking about a mental mindset here. Why would I worry about some blip that happens on a Friday afternoon because the president is talking about a tariff tax that we know is going to be solved at some point in time? Does that change the fundamentals of what's going to come? Does that change the evolution of technology that's about ready to change the way the whole entire financial system works? No, it's not. So for me, I literally have, this is going to sound crazy. I actually was like, oh, this is great. I'm taking opportunity. I'm buying. You know, I had money on the side of my profit plan and I'm going to take advantage of it and buy. And I hope, and you know what, Abs? I'm so proud of our community because on Twitter, you know what a lot of people were saying to me, Johnny? Oh my God, I'm buying the dip. A lot of people bought the dip. I want to give a shout out to all you guys out there. I saw you guys on Twitter and you're all talking about buying the dip. I'm so proud of you. A lot of you were talking about, you know, having Merlin and using it and you took profits and you bought back. That's exactly why we gave you this tool to put you in the pace, to remove your emotions. And I'm so proud of our community for doing it, Abs. And the thing is, this is how you have to train your brain to play in this space. Because, Abs, I want to leave it with this. This ain't the only time this is going to happen. It's been happening every cycle. It will continue. So, guys, you're now soldiers. For those of you who have been with us, you know the drill. And you sat there and you did what we did. You bought the dip. For those of you that are new, congratulations to Boot Camp. You just got Crypto Boot Camp 101. Abs, we might even want to name the show that. Crypto Boot Camp 101 today. You got it. Hopefully you made it through it. Abs did not cause the crash. He's very powerful, but he didn't cause the crash. I can promise you. It was way beyond Abs. It was definitely AI. But the thing here, guys, is to remember. Understand what you're investing in. And don't look at the day-to-day prices and worry if things are up or down. No, I'm not looking at that. I'm looking for when we start breaking all-time highs, for example, in Ethereum, when we start seeing Bitcoin hitting its all-time, busting an all-new time high, 140, 150, and starts pulling back, and Ethereum starts going high. That's when altcoin season starts, boy. That's when I'm going to get excited. That's what I'm waiting for. Until then, no. The best thing to do, if you have money, buy back into these opportunities. If you don't have money, do nothing and don't F this up. You've put yourself in a great position. Do not let the manipulative masters, that's what I'm going to call them from now on, the manipulative, shake you out of this space. You got in this for a reason. On Friday, I can guarantee you that reason that you got in, the evolution of technology, it did not change. So don't get shaken out.
Absolutely, Johnny Krypto. That's a really strong and great message. And I want to give a massive thank you to all the live donations that we've received. So I've decided that the way we're going to do these morning formats is I'm going to give you guys 30 to 45 minutes of all the content that I've prepared. We're going to spend the last 10 to 15 minutes going through every single live chat donation, sitting here for as long as it takes to address everyone's questions, concerns, and comments. So just wanted to give you guys a sense of the cadence. I also want to give a massive shout out to the people who are always here. KG, Ali. We're going to get everybody who deserves a wrench by the end of these, probably this week or so. So give us some time to onboard all the new people. Now, I do want to give another thank you. We already have 900 listeners on YouTube. We passed 315 likes. If you're enjoying this content, you appreciate it, show us some love, smash that like button. I just want to give a huge thank you. Even if you don't hit the like button, guys, we appreciate the fact that you enjoy these conversations and you keep showing up every day. Now, Johnny, I'm going to get into the data and analytics. We're going to discuss the AI crash that occurred over the weekend. But I wanted to get one final comment in here because a lot of people are like, what the heck was going on? What really caused this crash over the weekend? Well, here's exactly what happened. According to President Trump, there were going to be 100% tariffs put on all necessary software coming from China. Now, it turns out less than 12 hours later, he responded with this announcement that I'll read for our listeners. Don't worry about China. It will all be fine. The highly respected President Xi, I think, just had a bad moment. He doesn't want a depression for his country, and neither do I. The USA wants to help China, not hurt it. Signed, President DJT. Now, the comment on the tweet is even more relevant, Johnny. I'm just going to kick it to you to kind of wrap it up here. Was that people legitimately lost their entire portfolio during the biggest liquidation event in crypto history. And then he basically said, never mind, all good 48 hours later. If that doesn't teach you everything you need to know about the crypto space, I mean, that kind of summarizes it. I do want to give a massive shout out to Erica. Thank you so much for the $50 super sticker. We appreciate you like always. And I think if she doesn't have a wrench, I'm going to get you one by the end of the show. But Johnny Krypto, floor is yours. What's your reaction to all this?
I mean, dude, I could not. It was so funny. Somebody actually tweeted, it was either Mark Yusko or somebody he retweeted. And they literally, that what you have there, he literally said, Abs, don't be surprised in 2 weeks if you see President Trump literally write this. Like, it was almost to the word, like the highly respected President Xi, we've solved the problem, blah, blah, blah. And here it is, not even 2 weeks later. It only took 12 hours. Because listen, these guys understand it's damage control, right? Their words, they impact things, And so at the end of the day, to me, Abs, this kind of felt to me almost like a controlled, not demolition, a crash. This is like a controlled crash. Like, and there's talk out there too about, I think there was a massive short, Abs, on Bitcoin, and there was a massive short on Ethereum, and somebody walked away like 190 billion. And when you look at it, it actually happened literally almost within the day or two with it. It just feels very, very controlled. I mean, when you make a comment or a statement that there's going to be 100% tax, and then the next day you say, oh, don't worry, we're going to fix it. It's a little like, wait a minute. It just feels a little, there was some manipulation going on there. And I think what's important for our folks is just understand, and Ab says this all the time, show me the chart, show you the news. So you guys got to remember that is how the world is played. They're going to say some things, and they know it's going to affect the markets, and they're going to buy in or they're going to sell. And so ignore the noise. Ignore the noise. Don't watch the news. Basically, just know what you have. And when things are going up, be smart. Take some profits along the way up. And that's how you avoid putting yourself in this position. But in terms of what we saw happen, I mean, with AI now, Abs, is very, very interesting. Like you said, AI triggered it and then it bought the bottom. Very, very interesting how it can play that out. And so, and this is a good point. Here's the other challenge. You're right. Like, Abs, I don't know about you, but a lot of exchanges went down again, which here we are 4 years later, and these exchanges still cannot handle the server hits that happen when this goes. So, guys, the best way to avoid that That could be the name of a show. I kind of like that. I can say like a TV show. Charles in Charge. But you know, the best way to avoid this, guys, is put in some buy order limits, not financial advice. But if you want to capture these things, if they happen to you, you have to have those already set in stone, like months ahead of time. You put in like $1, like whoever got that $1.17, somebody had a buy order in at that order, right? Abs, they probably put it in years ago and forgot it, and boom, it got it.
And also, Johnny, I talked to people this weekend who were not crypto people who set limit orders that they had totally forgotten about that did get hit. Now they were small orders. It was $100 at $1.85 or $200 at, I think it was $1.92 or something. But those orders were filled, and that's a huge win, guys. Because think about it, 2 hours later, those trades are up like 50, 60%.
Right. Because I think what I want people to understand is just because you couldn't access your account, right? That means I can't get to my account. To the server. It doesn't mean that the order that's on their books doesn't execute. That's not the issue. They can execute an order if it's already in. The problem is people are trying to get connected and put an order in, and that's where the disconnect is because there's so much traffic, right? You can't get to the server. But the good news is if you're not smart, but if you plan ahead, this is why we always talk about planning ahead, and you have limit orders already in, like I'm going to go set up a bunch of limit orders again, right? Because now a lot of them got taken out. So if it ever drops again, you're in a good position where you may most likely, like you just said, Abs, get those things triggered off in these kind of events. But my best advice to you guys, don't play with leverage. Don't play with leverage. That was a leverage wipeout. They happen every single time, and they don't just happen once, Abs. It happened 2 or 3 times in the last bull cycle. I remember they get wiped out, and then we'd be going into the next banana zone. So why I'm excited now is because now that they did this massive wipeout, we are now going to be heading in the next banana zone, and that is without good. I'm glad that was helpful, Joseph. And so at the end of the day, right now, Beer is saying, boy, Adrian, go set up your orders, prepare for the next one. But right now, what everybody should be mentally prepared for now is we're going back up. Like Abs was talking about, the multiplier factors. We're going in this direction now. And that is, you know, when you go down, it's pretty easy. It's like, okay, cool. If I got money, I'm going to buy more. When it goes up, that's nerve-wracking. When to take profits is always nerve-wracking. So just be ready, be prepared, because exciting times are coming ahead. You can see it now. All the big boys are gearing up. Everybody's in this space. And that's another thing, Abs. 4 years ago, 8 years ago, you know, you didn't have a lot of the big institutional. You know how everybody's talking about this is the biggest wipeout in human crypto history? Well, we also have now the biggest boys ever playing in this space. And that's something that I think everybody has to be reminded of. Institutions, you know, BlackRock wasn't here 4 years ago. They were calling this thing a scam. You know, JP Morgan, all these other companies are here now. And unfortunately, guys, this is how they play the game. So be prepared, get yourself ready, buckle up. I believe now we are headed for upside, on the upside, not the downside.
Guys, I'm so excited that, first of all, our community reacted correctly. But here's the other thing that really works in our favor. When do bull markets end, Johnny? In euphoria. When do bear markets end? In total chaos. We're seeing the inverse right now. We're in the midst of a bull market, but every single retail investor that's not, I guess, in the know like our community is, they're going through a roller coaster of emotions. I had some conversations this weekend with people, again, not typically crypto people, but have some exposure. And here's the hot narratives that are back in action, guys. This guy tells me, guys, my financial advisor, he's a little bit on the conspiracy side, but he told me that crypto was built to take the money away from the middle class. They're going to funnel the middle class in there and drag it down to zero. And I go, the fact that this man is telling me this makes me more bullish than ever, because that tells me that regular people still think crypto's a scam, still think crypto's not here to stay, but it's our crypto community that is going to make the most of that bullish price action. Shout out to Bailey once again, guys. We got 3,200 live listeners here, over 1,000 watching on the brand new Good Evening Crypto channel. If you're enjoying this content, smash that like button. It greatly helps us out. It lets the algorithm know these guys, people enjoy their content. And we are at exactly 420 likes. So huge thank you. But Johnny Krypto, what did Raul Paul say earlier? He said, what's going to happen is this market's going to correct 35% and everyone will be saying it's over. But what's the truth? It will not be over. Shout out to Raul Paul. We're going to break it down.
Don't use leverage. Don't get your wallet hacked. Just sit with it. Be careful. Don't get FOMO. Do all of the right things, and we'll go up to the next phase of correction zone. That's going to be harder because the next one that happens, we'll have a 35% drop, and you'll all say, "Is it over?" And you'll definitely be sure it's over. And everybody on Twitter will tell you it's over, and it won't be over. By our work, we suggest that
because of the elongation of the business cycle, because rates were higher for longer, the forward-looking liquidity suggests that, again, probabilistically speaking, without any guarantees, this whole thing goes into Q1, maybe Q2 of 2026, which would align with Trump's, trying to win the midterms as well. So everything's lined up for us. I think it started. So keep the faith, keep building stuff, and let's keep driving Siri forward with all of this.
You know what's funny, Johnny? I'm going to kick it straight to you because you brought this up over the weekend. It's such a great point. But again, guys, I think Raul Paul says don't F this up. The way that I would phrase that is sometimes the best form of action is inaction, right? Sitting on your hands, knowing what you hold. That's what successful investors do. And let's even talk about our friend Mark Yusko, guys. What did Mark Yusko do that was so exceptional? He bought these assets early. He knew what he held. He talked about the ideas, and he continued to accumulate. Every single person in our chat, even Johnny Krypto and myself, we can do every single one of those things. So if we just copy the blueprint that's been given to us over a long enough period of time, if these assets succeed and XRP's around in 2030, newsflash, guys, it's going to be higher in value, right? And the reason is very logical. Regulation, demand, ETFs, Wall Street, all the stuff that we cover every day. I don't want to cover it again here, but it's so obvious. None of that changed over the weekend. Even when these prices were $1.50, $1.70 for those 15 minutes, Johnny, nothing changed. I didn't sit there and have an internal dialogue of, I wish I sold. No, that wasn't my dialogue. You know what my dialogue was? Can I buy this? And I logged into Uphold, and Uphold was down. So unfortunately, a lot of people are saying they weren't able to buy the dip. I really wasn't able to buy the dip either, guys. Just keeping it transparent. I was trying to tried to take advantage of the product. I was driving. I wasn't texting and driving, pulled up to a stoplight, went onto my Uphold. But the truth of the matter is that you couldn't buy anything that wasn't a limit order. So the way that I got around this was I went in, instead of doing a market buy, I did a limit buy and published that instead. And I did get to purchase some, but by the time that had occurred, majority of the dip was gone. So just wanted to be transparent here, guys. But Johnny, what's your reaction to Raul Paul saying what's going to happen is this market's going to correct 35%, which is so ironic because you know what the correction was? Exactly 35.8%. And everybody will be telling you it's over and we'll be certain that it's over and it won't be over. And that's where I think we are today, guys. Keep the optimism, keep the faith, but most importantly, know what you hold. And I do want to give a huge thank you to everybody who did the donations. It's greatly appreciated, guys. And we love and appreciate you. Donations are not necessary, but I do want to give a special thank you if you were able to donate on our first live stream. So thank you so much. But Johnny Krypto, what's your reaction to all this information?
This is why I love following guys that have played or worked in the industry, at Goldman Sachs or Yusko at the hedge funds, or, when you come from the industry, the financial industry and hedge funds, you understand how these work. And Raul Paul, this video he made was months ago, and yet, thank you. That's what we're here for, guys, to help retrain. I call it retrain your brain. And Raul Paul, he knows. He told that. He played that. That video was 6 months, 9 months old, and he already told us what was going to happen. And to me, that's why during times like this, I don't get there because I'm sitting there and I'm looking at the experts who have been through this space, who know what's coming. They understand. And these guys also lived through 96, and they're literally telling you guys it's going to happen. This is how it's going to happen. And so I'm sitting there going, okay, then let's let this play out. Let's take it in. Not one time, Abs, not one time on Friday did I think to myself, oh my God, I got to get out of crypto. It's done and over. But I can't tell you how many people were tweeting and thinking, this is the end of crypto. My friends texted me too. They say, yes, I did my push-ups, Noah. Actually, I did them twice today. I was so excited. I got up. I did one set, took a shower, did another set. So that's a double set today. I might take tomorrow off. But anyway, by the way, let me just give a shout out to all the Italians out there. Happy Columbus Day. Because if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't even know where we are today. And I heard Trump may bring the holiday back. Good for him. And that's all I want to hear about. That's all I'm going to say about it. I want to hear nothing else about that. But the point being is, this to me, Raul Paul, he knows what's happening. This guy understands how this space is going to play. He knows, and Abs, here's what gets me really excited, because if we play a bunch of other Raul Paul videos, you're going to hear ones where he's actually talking about this space for anywhere from $50 to $1 trillion of money coming into this space in the next 5 to 10 years. Now, can you imagine today we're like, what, 3.8, 3.9? I don't know. Maybe we're in 4 trillion. I know we came down a little bit because of, but imagine that, Abs. That fundamentally hasn't changed. You don't hear Raul Paul saying, oh, we're not having 50 or 100 million coming in anymore. No, we're absolutely going to get to that space. There is no question about it. that, I mean, you see banks now, they're actually starting to, I just posted a tweet the other day, there's banks coming together, working on creating blockchains to be able to figure out how the whole world is going to work, how we're going to transfer and move money just the way we do it today. So these things are coming. And someday you're going to look back and go, this was a great opportunity. And so from that being said, I was like, Abs, I couldn't catch the bottom either, but I didn't care. I caught it somewhere in the middle. I was finally able to get on the Coinbase, make an order. Great. Be happy. Because at the end of the day, these things today, most of them, at least the top 100 Abs, they're very undervalued. I mean, XRP at 250, still very undervalued when you think of the forward-looking price or where this could go. And Jim Cramer, the best. Cramer said about 2 weeks ago, hey, buy crypto. Best inverse indicator in the world. When Jim starts saying to buy, be prepared for a pullback. And maybe that's what we should do, Abs. When Cramer starts talking about crypto going up, put your low limit order buys in, guys, because it means we're probably going to have a quick wipeout. But again, I just want to get to the point where I don't see anything fundamentally that has changed. I think that this was a great opportunity if you wanted to scoop up more to do that. And then in terms of the exchanges, just understand, yeah, they're going to go down. They still haven't fixed it. I'm a little disappointed, Abs, 4 years later, that these exchanges are still going down. However, I will say this. I remember in the past, they would be wiped out for like hours. It wasn't too bad. Coinbase was up and running, within, I think, 15, 20 minutes, I was able to get an order in. So I think they're trying to improve and do better, but that's why you want to have, shout out to Nick, and that's why you want to have your orders pre-placed ahead of time to be prepared for these kinds of things, because this will happen.
Well, guys, when you're thinking about what happened during the collapse, Johnny, I said I would break this down, and I'm going to do it right now for our listeners. We are 31 minutes into the episode. I want to give a huge thank you, especially to KG, who said his account was overdrafted, but the donations are still rolling in from my friend. So no need to overdraft your account. We'll be here live for free going forward. Shout out to KG, though. We appreciate you. Johnny, one of the things that we witnessed is that actually Gonzo brought this up to me several weeks ago, that these AI bots out there, what they do is they're able to automatically siphon through new articles and decide, are they bullish or bearish, and then trade for you. So Johnny can't monitor the markets 24/7, but you know who can? ChatGPT. So hypothetically, right, it's a different protocol, it's a different software, but it's very similar. A ChatGPT-like software would siphon through the negative sentiment in the market. And what happened? Trump made this announcement. Major hedge funds began dumping on their order books. AI protocols saw that and go, I'm not going to be the last on this train. I'm dumping mine. And you saw this cascading effect. Now, it gets really interesting. I do have to play a little bit of a longer video for you guys. It's about a 2-minute video. Now, what's so important about this clip, if I can ever locate it in the background, is that they're describing how this mostly impacted the order books for futures. Did not affect spot traders in the same way that it impacted future traders in this market. And Johnny, it's going to take me a second. I actually lost the clip that I was.
Okay, that's fine while you're going to get it. But I what you're talking about is exactly right, Abs. This is kind of, here's another thing we have to be prepared for, Abs. AI is a player in this game now. And it is much smarter and faster and can react way quicker than humans can. And they're monitoring sentiment, like you said, and then they're going to take action. It sounds like you found the video, so I'll kick it back over to you.
Thank you, Johnny. I appreciate that. And this is the video that I was looking for, guys. So DAI put out this phenomenal clip. It said the crypto crash will further reinforce most of Wall Street's money coming and flowing into the large cap blue chip stocks for American assets. Choose wisely, XRP. Now, they talk about XRP in this brief clip, but if you're just joining the episode, I showed our listeners prior how much some of these other altcoin projects went down. Cardano went from 80 cents to 30 cents. Sui went from like $3.50 down to 50 cents in value. Cosmos went from, I think, $3 something down 99%. So our listeners should understand that if you're part of the XRP community, and let's say you only have XRP and Bitcoin, you were really isolated from the majority of the chaos that took place in this market. It was the projects outside Bitcoin, Ethereum, and yes, XRP took a major hit, but compared to some of these other alts, Johnny, it was nothing. So I'm going to play this data for our listeners right now. Just a quick reminder, guys, if you're enjoying this content, smash the like button. If you did a live donation, we're going to address every single one at the end of the episode. So big thank you. Here's the clip.
I think an interesting thing here to also mention is that this almost exclusively happened on the perp order books. It didn't happen on the spot order books. And there's a reason for that. First of all, a lot of these, you'll notice this didn't happen with like XRP or some of these older kind of alts that are still popular. A big reason for that, in my opinion, is most of the alts that were affected had like 2 to 3 market makers that were designated market makers for that token. According to what I've heard from a bunch of people, it became just absurdly hard for market makers to actually place orders. And because there's only really at scale like 3 companies placing bid and ask orders on the book, all of a sudden none of them can place orders. So the price just becomes, no one's setting price. The price in theory can go to almost nothing. So I think that's what you probably saw with Atom. It looks like a smaller market maker also blew up. So like if you look at Resolve and some of these, I'm forgetting the exact name, but it's something like Cyant or something like that. It's like, or like not Cypher, but it's similar. They basically, their entire Hyperliquid account got evaporated, and all the coins that they were market making basically almost went to zero. And so I think that's also part of it, but most of it I think was market makers not being able to trade.
And so what is
there's the important part of the clip, guys. Johnny Krypto. Now, this is why I was saying prior in the episode, this does work in both directions. These market makers, the fact that there's such a small group of companies that control all the liquidity in the crypto space speaks volumes for what can occur when these ETFs products are turned on, or when blockchain is really being utilized by American companies, not just onboarding companies and onboarding ideas, but actually using them on an everyday, every transaction basis. Floor is yours. What's your reaction to what they claim caused the collapse?
Yeah, I hear a lot of times future markets get manipulated a lot. And that's why I hate future markets, Abs. And to be honest with you, I don't even touch the futures markets. And unfortunately, that is one of the markets that gets manipulated the most. And of course, that's what we're seeing is driving. And that makes sense when you hear what he's talking about, why these things dropped so low, because these guys couldn't even get the orders in. And to me, again, it's just one of those things where when you think about it and see yourself, what can I do about it? There's not really a lot you can do other than if you have the foresight to think ahead. And what's kind of cool, I will say this, what's kind of cool is now that we've had these drops, if you really were someone like, and I might even do this at some point in time, you may want to look at where these bottoms were and maybe put a limit order in, somewhere near that zone, because it is possible somewhere in the future that it does happen again, especially with AI driving some of this, that some of those get re-triggered again. But to me, you just kind of use these things as an indicator, as a roadmap of how to prepare yourself for the future. Every single day is a learning day or a new day. And hopefully some people learn, Bootcamp 101, I like to call it this Friday, learn from it of what you could do to kind of be prepared in the situation when it comes again. And just understand that the future markets, they are very tricky. They're a little bit shady and it can happen. So from that perspective, you need to understand that. Now, what I always like to go back to, though, Abs, is like the spot market. This is why it's so important, like for me, and I think for you and most of our community, aren't playing leverage, because once the futures get manipulated, driving the price down, well, what does that do? If you're borrowing on leverage, that means you're borrowing money. Now, that means if that drops below a certain number, depending on the percentage, 2, 3, 4x that you leverage, you're going to get that order closed on you, and for a loss, unfortunately. So that's kind of what happens. They trigger the futures, pulls it down, all the leverages get wiped out, and you end up getting sucked in for a loss. If you're a spot, it's just a paper loss. I'm looking at my account right here, right? Okay, it's down. But who cares? It's a paper loss. I'm not worried about it because I believe we're still going back up. I believe this market's still in the value. Think about this. I just saw somebody post in the chat, BC Backer. Everybody follows BC Backer because he's the most credible. And I'm like, oh, BC Backer thinks, yeah, there. Oh, thanks. Perfect. That may be leaning towards the bear market and it's over. Well, Abs, let me just say this. We still don't have the Clarity Act. We know that's coming soon. We know that we have a pro-crypto administration. We have a pro-crypto chairman, a pro-crypto SEC. In the past, you could argue, and I probably would even be sitting there arguing, going, yeah, he might be right. This could be over. I've been one of the few vocal saying, I don't think this is a typical bear market, or 4-year cycle. We still have more things on the horizon. We still have a market that is evolving into a new and different market, like turning on the internet speculation investment that happened in 96, 97, 98. I know I sound like a broken record, guys, but I'm doing it because I want to drain it in your brain. That I believe we are heading into that kind of space. And I think the Clarity Act is the key to do that. And we haven't even got that yet, Abs. And from what I'm hearing, it could happen sometime this quarter. So it's really hard for me to believe, as much as I trust BC Backer and he's great, to think we're heading into a bear market when the single most arguable biggest trigger event, which in my mind is the clarity that could be on the cusp of happening soon. Plus, we got all the ETFs that are on the way that are going to be approved. There's just too many catalysts coming for me to believe we're going into a bear market. And lastly, I'm not even a big, the TA guy, but I was looking at like the 5 and 10-year trends of Bitcoin apps. We didn't bust through the 200 MA on a 10-year. It actually came right to it and bounced up. So there's just too many signs for me to believe right now that we're anywhere near the end of this. I actually think we may be getting closer more to the beginning of the next leg up.
You know what else is true, Johnny, is that when you think about what happened for Bitcoin, like this morning, in the first 10 minutes of the markets being open, Bitcoin spot ETFs purchased $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. So there's just this massive underlying demand for projects like Bitcoin and like Ethereum. And eventually when these ETF products are live, it will be the same demand for XRP. We're going to see something a little bit different, guys. And yesterday was just a perfect example of how nobody has all the answers, but we can use data and analytics to kind of shape our opinion. When I saw that huge collapse, the more important part was a historic rebound. Watching XRP go from 260 to 150 back to 240 within an hour was the most unbelievable thing I've ever witnessed in the crypto space. And there was a lot of projects that had really similar price action here in 2025. I do want to give a massive shout out to this piece of information. I almost shouted out a listener, guys. Someone just opened up a Bitcoin short 30 minutes before Trump's tariff announcement, and they just closed a deal profiting nearly $100 million. They opened this account today. There's a lot of this going around, Johnny. People kind of calling out the weird trading activity that was happening around this collapse. And so I wanted to give our live chat a thought, like, guys, what do you think is really going on here? One's if you think this person had foresight into what was being announced. Two's if you think it's just a coincidence 30 minutes prior they decided to open this trade. But Johnny, how can we use this to our advantage? What do you think?
Well, you know what, Abs, like, let's just be honest with each other, okay? And on the air with everybody here. People know when the president and his campaign and they're talking these things, there are just going to be people in the know. And then people share with their friends and their family and this. So, of course, it had to be somebody. Nobody is that smart enough to take out that big of a short without knowing, or put that much risk out without knowing something is coming, right? Most likely. Again, this is just my opinion. I could be wrong. But if I had to bet on it, I'm going to say, listen, there are people in the know. Somebody shared it with somebody and all the way down the chain. And I'm sure it's very far removed from the administration. I don't think it was anybody in the administration. But no, it wasn't Barron Trump. Maybe like a 10th tier friend of his all the way down the line. But no, the reality is I think it's, something like that happened. And that's just how these things work. And there are going to be people that are going to do it. We see this happening all the time. Now, here's what's going to be interesting is, will it get investigated? Because it's blockchain, it's a lot easier. It's so funny. Like Abs is one. I remember the Hinman days when all you guys used to be like, "Oh yeah, Hinman's going." I'm like, guys, nothing's gonna happen to Hinman. And you guys are like, no, don't be just. I'm like, nope, not gonna happen.
I had so much belief, so much hope back then, Johnny.
I know you really did too. And I'm like sitting there like pouring all over you're putting your fire out, saying it's not gonna happen. These guys, nothing's gonna happen. It's just nothing is probably gonna happen. But it will be interesting if it does get. The thing about blockchain is a lot easier to trace these things and see exactly, at least whose IP it came from and where, unless, of course, if they had VPNs and things like that. So it'll be very interesting to see if anything happens, but I really doubt anything will. And to answer your question, it's just going to be people in the know. It's going to be hard for the normal human to do something like that. It's very hard to predict that the president is going to come out 30 minutes before you place some kind of trade and say some kind of news that goes in the direction of what you just did. I mean, I would encourage nobody to try that. It's just almost impossible. What you have to do, and this is why they call it fundamental trading, or in this case, because, we're kind of more, this industry's coming together, so there aren't fundamentals yet, but it's speculative trading, right? Right now, what we're doing is called speculative trading. We are getting into a space because we believe the future is changing and we want to hold these assets that are someday going to have fundamentals that are producing income like the way stocks do as their companies grow, right? That's where we're getting into. That's the thesis, Abs, that we are investing in. And the great thing about Friday is, to me, that thesis did not change at all. And no, the guy didn't have a crystal ball. He probably just had a friend on the inside. Let's just face it, guys. I mean, that's just how it works. Unfortunately, there is going to be that. Whether justice is held, not something for us to worry about. In this case, all we could do is worry about ourselves and what we control. And what we control is our minds our action plans, and how we're going to play this space. And that's what I encourage everybody to focus on, is if you have conviction and you believe in your thesis that blockchains are coming. And for me, I try to be diversified because I think there's going to be multiple areas. You've got real world assets, you've got AI space, you've got the payment solution space. There's so much space to invest in here, Abs. To me, it's so much opportunity that I hope people are looking at these and placing little bets along the way and making sure they got some horses in their stable.
And let's not forget, Johnny, who's buying these dips? As smart as our community is, it's not us guys. It's not the retail investor. It's the institutional investors that have been waiting for an opportunity like we got yesterday. And there's been plenty of times. I'm going to cover this during our episode on Good Evening Crypto later tonight. There's only been a couple of times where the XRP chart has seen a wick like we just witnessed. And every single time it is followed by bullish price action. We do not see wicks like this in the XRP price chart and then head into a bear market, because that wouldn't work to their benefit. If they were going to send us into a bear market, they'd make every overly bullish. They did. I mean,
look, you got one right there. Look at the one you got right there. You know, I don't know, about 3 or 4 months back. Look at that, a little further back. It's a red. Yeah, look at that one. Like, you could have literally thought, like, you could have been spooked out right there. And then fast forward, and we went to all-time high. You know, busted through the high all the way up to 3. Yeah, only what was it? Maybe a month later. What was that time frame, Abs? Was that about a month between those two from that?
I think it's more time. It's from February till July. So that would be about 5 months.
There we go. So now if we kind of do that time frame, and I'm not saying it's going to be the same, but imagine now, you know, from where we had today, fast forward 3 or 4 months from now, where we get the Clarity Act, and next thing you know, we're sitting there talking at boom, all-time highs again. Guys, I mean, you can just, the chart, like Abs always says, history doesn't repeat itself, but it often freaking rhymes. Don't be surprised now if we start going sideways. So let's talk about Abs. Here's my prediction. I think we're going to go sideways, right? We'll form another reset of the pendant triangle you got shown there, and then bang, we bust up through. And maybe the trigger at that point could be the Clarity Act. It could be the ETFs. I mean, I know there's some talk that maybe they're coming the end of this month. We'll see. But to me, the chart is just once again setting up nicely to go back into that sideways, and then next leg banana zone up. And, you know, when Raoul Paul says everybody's going to think it's over, you got the best trader in the game, BC Backer, thinking it's over. And what did Raoul Paul said? It ain't over.
Agree, guys. We got 4,500 live listeners. If you enjoyed this content, smash that like button. And again, this is what I'm going to be covering in our update later on tonight, how an XRP, and I saw Mikkel actually use this in his title. He said XRP God candle tomorrow. My whole thesis here is that I'm going to give you kind of some insight, guys. Big thank you to anybody who shows up to the live streams. Look at what happened back in 2017. Interesting observation. In December of 2017, Binance rugged XRP from 36 cents to a fraction of a penny, and then sent it up into the tens of thousands of percent over the next couple of months.
There you go.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, like, I got to be transparent. Like, I don't think
the leverage wipeout.
It's a leverage wipeout. It only
leverage wipeout. They wipe it out and then they send it. And think about this. You're wiping out all the retailers. Then you're buying at the bottom and you're sending it up. And then at the top, what do? They short it and they send it all the way back down. I mean, guys, the blueprint is I love this chart. The blueprint is right there. And yes, this is the best show in the world. So make sure you smash the like button, not once, twice. Actually, don't do it twice because then it'll unlike it. Do it 3 times and subscribe to the new channel. Shout out to Abs making history here on the new Good Evening Crypto channel. And so make sure that you smash, like, subscribe, do all those great things. And we are here. We plan to be here for a long time to bring you information as this whole market evolves. Abs, we are just getting started, my friend.
And our content will continue to evolve, guys. But for the time being, continue to show up, hit the follow, turn your post notifications on. We're going to be live every single day, 5 days a week, actually. Monday through Friday, we're going to be live. We're also going to be giving you the short form content later in the afternoon. But we're going to go through the donations really quick. Massive thank you to Allie. She said, GEC, love you guys. We love our community as well. Big thank you to Clinton. He said they are working, Abs. PK with the $2 Canadian. Big shout out to you, my friend. Very nice suit you got in your profile picture. We also got Richard with the super sticker. Big thank you. Opulence434, a daily listener, and a big shout out to them. Greatest show on earth with real information. Keep it up, Johnny and Abs. You know what's great about that? Big thank you for the $20 donation is that we're going to go through this whole thing together. I've told you, our listeners, for a long time, we're going to be here every single day. We're going to go through these bull markets and we're going to go through the bear markets together. We're going to talk about our bear market strategies after this bull run occurs. So don't be worried. If we were to go into a bear market, we're not the channel that's going to back down. We're going to ramp up our content and help our listeners succeed. So big thank you to you.
We ain't going anywhere, right?
Terry Anderson, the official owl of the Good Evening Crypto live chat. He said, thank you always, GMC and GEC. We are holding and buying, praying hands higher. Shout out to Jesus, guys.
A big owl, by the way. That's a big owl.
Joseph Ray said, we got your back, Abs. Appreciate you, Joseph, the official surfer. Massive thank you to Erica with the $50 super sticker. We appreciate you're a special member of the Good Evening Crypto live chat. And a massive thank you for the $50 donation. It goes a long way, guys, on this brand new channel. Now, Kim stated, love you guys and so happy to have you back. We were only gone 48 hours. Actually, we did a video on Saturday, but big shout out to Kim. We love and appreciate you, Kim. Thank you for being here every day. Noah Bennett with the Johnny Crypto push-ups. Just a quick reminder. This person said, Bulldog Breeder, appreciate you guys. We appreciate you as well. KG said donations are working to Travis. Big shout out to KG. Big shout out to Travis. And thank you for the $10 donation, both to Bulldog Breeder and to KG. And the final comment here, what is expected to happen to Solana and ENS? It's more the same, guys. This is the whole thing. I kind of wanted to make today's episode of the theme that nothing's changed. Nothing changed for Solana. Nothing really changed for what we're seeing in the evolution of digital assets. Now, during today's episode, I am going to describe as well how Ethereum developers are moving from the Ethereum DeFi ecosystem into the XRP Ledger DeFi ecosystem. So you want to talk about big changes this time around, it's where these developers are putting their time and effort. But as for the success of Solana, nothing's changed on that front. I'm anticipating bullish momentum. I'm not a big Solana guy. Everybody knows this. I don't actually own a lot of the token. Maybe I have 5 or something that I purchased a long time ago. But I think Solana is probably here to stay. And a lot of that comes from the conversations that I've had with guys like Mark Yusko or my friends in Wall Street who say, listen, guys, the venture capitalists, they're pumping this one. Solana's the new Ethereum on that front. Now, I do want to give a shout out to Reggie and a big thank you to CJ for the $2 donation. Reggie Nuts commented, I love the show. I want a wrench. GEC for life. Reggie, you've earned a wrench, so I'll make sure that happens, whether it's today's stream or tomorrow's stream. Reggie, show up tomorrow, you're getting your wrench. Dennis commented, no ETFs happening now until clarity. That's per BlackRock. And guys, if there's anybody we can trust, it's BlackRock, right? Shout out to Larry Fink. Now, of course, I'm kidding, 7 Dennis. Big thank you to you for the $2 donation. My belief is this government shutdown, we didn't really address that, probably 4 to 5 days away. If it goes longer than that, here's the thing. Republicans, because they control the House and we have a sitting president who's a Republican, are going to start making major cuts. And you know who's not going to like that? The Democrats, because one of the first ideas that will go will be the Democratic ideas. So I do think we'll see a resolution probably in the next 5 to 7 days. Johnny D, big shout out to you. He said, live you guys. I think he meant love. Thanks, Johnny. I used your strategy. Big shout out to John and a huge thank you for the $2 donation, my friend. We got 4,500 live listeners. This is the first of many, maybe thousands of live streams that we're going to have here. So I just want to give a massive thank you to anybody who played a part in the first Good Evening Crypto live stream. But we love you guys. We appreciate you all. Hopefully you're feeling better about the market. My belief is things could actually begin to ramp up and get really exciting towards the back end of October. And I said that prediction probably a year and a half ago now. I've doubled down on it throughout the summer. Nothing has changed. October optimism is in effect. So we love you guys. We appreciate you all. I don't have my Trump outro uploaded yet, so we're just going to have to end this the typical way. But we'll see you all in the next one.